Robert Plank Show, episode 155 Crowdfunding. Get funded today on Kickstarter and Indiegogo with Zach Smith. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Robert Plank Show, where we talk about making money. Our guest today is Zach Smith, and he's going to talk to us today about crowdsourcing. Now, Zach is a serial entrepreneur, never having had a real job his entire life. He's always starting, selling, running, and managing businesses. Zach loves helping others turn their dreams, ideas, and inspirations into successful companies, and this passion led to his creation of Funded Today LLC, which is America's most successful crowdfunding firm and the largest provider of crowdfunding marketing services worldwide. I'm excited, can't wait to talk about it, so you guys strap yourselves in. So Zach, how are things today?
Doing real well. Thanks for having me on your show today, Robert.
Cool. I'm glad you're here because this is a new topic that I don't know much about, but I've seen it kind of take off. I've seen it get popularity. So crowdfunding, what the heck is it?
So crowdfunding is basically a way to raise money that over the last few years has become extremely popular. There's a lot of different types of crowdfunding, but we'll just cut out all that. The part of crowdfunding that we focus on specifically is called rewards-based crowdfunding. And that means that people essentially pre-order new ideas on sites like Kickstarter and Indiegogo. So enter, and let's say I've invented a cool new watch, and this watch does all kinds of fancy features. I might have a prototype of just one such watch. Well, I film a video, I talk about this watch, I talk about how I want to bring it into mass production, and I tell people for $250, you can pre-order this watch that I have on my wrist, and I'll make one for you just like the one I have here. And then people pay $250 to get this watch. There's no catches. There's no strings attached. You don't have to give up any equity in your business. And people do this to the tune of millions and millions of dollars. And Funded Today, like you mentioned in your intro, has done that more so than anybody else in the world for thousands of different inventors now.
Awesome. So you're the guy to talk to. And I've seen every now and then, I mean, like before the show started recording, we were talking a little bit like, Indiegogo and Kickstarter, people have used that to, bankroll like movies and TV shows and stuff like that. But then on the practical side, I mean, every now and then I'll see something like I'll see, someone will invent like a camera that allows them to talk to their pets and dispense, pet food remotely.
I
Stuff
saw
like
that
that.
one, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yep,
the
I
most.
saw that.
That's the one that comes to mind the most when I think of crowdfunding and Kickstarter type of stuff. But it's also practical and not something like a multi-million-dollar movie and stuff like that. So okay, so and using a watch example, someone says I'm going to design the watch. So I guess what are the steps then? Like I guess they sign up for like a site like Kickstarter. They make a web page. I guess maybe they can make a prototype or a graphic, and then people can pre-order the watch. I guess. So the thing that I was curious about as you were explaining it. So let's say that you, Zach Smith, say you can pre-order this watch for $200. I pre-order the watch, and then what happens? Because I've seen like some of these say like we need 100 backers or something like that. So what happens? Wait, first of all, what happens if they don't get adequate funding for that project?
Yeah, great question. So as an entrepreneur, you want to know how much it's going to cost you to build this watch. So let's say that your MOQ, your minimum order quantity, is 1,000 watches. You've talked to manufacturers, you've talked to suppliers, and we can help with all this stuff as well. We can help with almost anything. Because we've done this so many times. Anybody who needs help with, oh, I don't know how to prototype. Okay, great. Oh, I don't know how to make a video. I don't know how to do a design. We can help with all those different things. But let's assume you've got all that covered. And now you've talked to all those people. You've done all that stuff. So getting the extra prototypes made is going to cost you $10,000. Ordering 1,000 of these watches, let's say it's $20 for each watch. So that's $20,000. So you add up all your total costs, and that's what you want to set for your goal. Now, Kickstarter has what's called all or nothing funding. So on Kickstarter, that means if you set a goal for, let's say, $100,000, that means that's what it's going to cost you to bring this watch into existence. That's factoring in all the product you have to buy, all your cost of goods sold, whatever overhead you have, all your prototypes, and whatever it's going to cost to deliver and ship the finished product off to all your pre-order backers. So that's what you set your goal for. On Kickstarter, if you do not hit that $100,000 goal, let's say you're $99,999, that means you don't get any of your money. And so it's very important that you set a goal as low as you possibly can so that you can get funded, but then as high as necessary so that when you do get funded, if you don't get the whole whatever you need, well, you can still deliver to your backers. And so Kickstarter, I say, particularly that particular website, is a paradoxical vehicle in the sense that you might set a goal for $100,000, and until you get to $100,000, you might not get a lot of excitement and a lot of traction. But once you hit 100,000, the crowd kind of engages and says, "Oh wow, this is great. This is funded. This is going to happen." And then they get behind it, and the momentum rolls, and it's like a snowball going down a hill. And so that's why I recommend setting a low enough goal that you can get funded really quickly, so you can show that you're successful to get that paradox of success to happen, and then you will really become successful. But again, you want to be careful, because if you set your goal too low and you only end up raising $50,000 when you actually need $100,000, that's a bit of a problem. And so I always recommend setting your minimum viable goal so that you can create your product, but not setting a goal so high that it's impossible to reach, or it looks just so daunting to people and it takes many weeks or a month or so before it gets funded, and then you don't ever get the momentum that's so exciting about crowdfunding.
Right.
Does that make sense?
I mean, yeah, that makes perfect sense. And so, like, if I were to go to your Kickstarter page and you have this watch and it says, we need $1 million raised and we've raised $100, I could look at that and say, you know what, like, there's 0% chance this is going to go through. But if you said, we need 50,000 and the thermometer was at 60 or 70, I'm like, well, great, they passed their goal. I can buy this and I'll be guaranteed to get it.
Exactly. Yep, that's exactly right.
So all right, so let's say someone sets up a Kickstarter, they calculate their MOQ and stuff like that. As far as setting the goal and all that, like, do you recommend that your clients have any wiggle room, or is it just set the goal based on the cost and then hopefully the Kickstarter will overfill, or whatever the term is?
I think that's a great question you asked. I think it's very important to have some wiggle room. Good examples of not having enough wiggle room are the Coolest Cooler, one of the most funded projects of all time. They didn't factor in that it was going to cost a lot more when they went through all kinds of different change orders. And because of that, they still have 50, 60% of their coolers that 3 or 4 or 5 years later, they still haven't been able to ship out, however long it's been. And that's just because they didn't, even though they raised $13 million, I forget the total number, that still wasn't enough to deliver to their thousands of backers because of how fancy and how amazing they end up making the cooler. And so if you have a little bit of wiggle room, you avoid those issues.
And I looked up that the Coolest Cooler while you were talking, and I've seen this recently, but I didn't know that was the name. And it looks like they had 62,000 backers pledged $13.2 million.
Yeah.
So crazy the amount of money some of these types of sites raise.
And he's a good guy too. Like a lot of people make him out to be like, oh, he screwed everybody out of things. I think he just kind of made some common mistakes of an entrepreneur. He didn't set his margins right. He didn't quite know what he should have charged, and he was way more successful than he ever planned. A lot of people don't know, but he ran his first project and he raised $125,000. But guess what his goal was? $250,000. So guess what? He had to cancel. He didn't get any of that money. Well, he relaunches, and look what happens. $13 million later, he doesn't know what to do with himself, and he wasn't ready for it to become that successful. So interestingly enough, one of the most successful crowdfunding projects of all time on paper, it has been one of the most unsuccessful crowdfunding projects of all time in practice.
Oh no! And have you seen this happen over and over again, or does it go right more than it goes wrong?
I'd say it goes right more than it goes wrong. We've worked with lots of creators, and I've worked with a few creators. I love John Richards and Jacob Durham. They're a couple guys out of Utah, where I'm from, and these guys have done 4 or 5 crowdfunding projects now, and they've all been successful. They usually fulfill on time, if not earlier, and because of that, they just got done running a product called Nomadic. It's a bag that has all kinds of different features, and it's pretty amazing. Nomatic, and it raised over $1 million. And this is from 2 guys that came to me 2-3 years ago wanting to raise like $10,000-$20,000 for a wallet. We ended up raising $171,000 for the wallet. Then we raised money for a notebook. Then we raised money for a laptop stand, and then they did really well on their own with this Nomadic and brought us on at the end, and we did pretty well raising the money for their bag as well. So you can have stories like that where you keep coming back to crowdfunding because your backers love you. You build up that customer lifetime value, and every new thing you invent, everybody wants to be a part of because you've created that tribe, as Seth Godin likes to call it.
Nice. So is that the secret to getting a campaign to by the way, what's the term for, like, if a campaign like completes or whatever?
Yeah, funded is what we like to call it. That's why our company name is Funded. Funded today.
Today, not tomorrow, because tomorrow's too long to wait, right? So
well, we got funded tomorrow too. When you raise enough money with us, we take you over to Indiegogo On Demand, and we raise you more money tomorrow too.
Oh, nice. So it's today and tomorrow. So I mean,
Yes, sir.
you cover all the bases. Okay, so is there a secret to getting a project funded? Is it a matter of like building up these followers? Is there any amount of outside traffic involved? Like, I mean, what's the low-hanging fruit there?
Yeah. The secret is just like they, and again, there's no secrets really. I mean, it's obviously a secret, I guess, because not everyone can do it, but the secret is putting in the work. It's hard work. In order to get really successful on Kickstarter, particularly, and I'm talking about Kickstarter generally, but I mean crowdfunding holistically, because Indiegogo, it's the same sort of thing, but everybody's a little bit more familiar with Kickstarter. And Indiegogo has a couple different things than Kickstarter. Like, for example, on Indiegogo, you can choose flexible funding, and you get to keep all the money that you raise. So you don't have to have. You can set a goal of 50 grand, but if you only raise 48 grand, you get to keep it all. And Indiegogo likes that. I'm kind of like torn on it because if you don't get the money you need, how are you going to go and get the extra money so that you can make sure you fulfilled your backers?
Right.
But maybe if you get close enough, you can get a little bit of capital or self-fund a bit and deliver. It seems to work for Indiegogo, but I'm kind of 50-50. I like the idea of setting a fixed goal. The other reason I like that too, total divergent here, but is because if you can't raise the money you need, it probably means you don't have that good of an idea, right? Or you haven't marketed it right. And so
Right.
if you can't raise the amount of money, you probably shouldn't bring the product into existence because it means the market doesn't want it. That's a whole nother topic. In terms of what you do to raise money, you need to start out just like you would in any other business, just like they teach you if you're going to be an insurance agent or a salesman or something. Start with your friends and family and tell your friends and family, hey, Robert, I've got this amazing idea. It's this cool watch. It's going to be, here's what it does, da-da-da-da, and I'm going to be launching it on September 22nd, 2016 at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Can I count on you to give me $200 at that time to back this? Well, oh, yeah, Zach, for sure, I'll do it, right? And everybody has friends on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram. Contact every single one of those people privately. Build up a spreadsheet. Use a Google spreadsheet. Use a Google Sheet or a Google Doc. Write them all down. Commit them all. Get their names, emails, phone numbers. And don't just let them tell you it's cool, it's a great idea, because everybody's going to tell you that. Really ask them if they pay money for it. And if they wouldn't pay money for it, say, hey, be honest with me. If you really can't buy this, let me know why not. And you'll kind of get a good idea if you have a good idea or not there as well from your friends and family. Once you have them committed, try to get 200 or more. The reason why is because the day you launch, if you have 200 or more of your friends and family, there's a good chance you're going to pop to the top of Kickstarter. And when you pop to the top of Kickstarter's popular and magic rankings, you get millions of eyeballs on your page. And when you get millions of eyeballs on your page, if your idea truly resonates, you can have what we like to call a supernova, which is a good product and good marketing. Factored into Kickstarter's algorithm, that results in millions of eyeballs and thousands of pledges on a product. And all you had to do was line up a few friends and family.
Nice. Then that's cool, and that's like, so you have your launch team or whatever you could call it, which is your close friends and family, and they all buy like right when the thing opens, get it ranked, and then get noticed and going on from there. And is there a way, or do you know offhand, is there like a way to I'm even kind of afraid to ask this, but is there a way to like pay people to buy your Kickstarter, or is that like too black hat for them?
It's a good question. I mean, to game the system, I see what you're saying. I don't recommend doing that. Kickstarter is really good too. They have what they call an integrity team, and they look at a lot of things like that. The other reason I don't recommend it, even though it is a good idea, and we've thought about it, but we ultimately decided not to, because if you don't have a good product, paying people to buy it isn't a good idea, because no one's going to buy it when it ranks in popular anyway. You want people that actually want your product, and you want legitimate people seeing it and ready to buy. Now, let's say you don't have that many friends and family. Let's say you maybe don't want to do the work. Well, that's why a lot of people come to Fund It today, because we have a network of thousands and thousands of people, and we can tell those thousands and thousands of people about your product, build you up an email list, get them ready to go, and tell them the day you launch, and then they will back your project. Or while doing that, we'll let you know if you have a good idea or a bad idea before you even launch. Hey, nobody wants this. We can't get anybody to sign up or opt in. You probably shouldn't go any further, and you won't waste the rest of your life chasing an idea that people don't want. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, that way they can move on to something that does make money.
Exactly.
And
So many people chase their dreams without ever taking action. Crowdfunding has made it so that you can quickly chase your dreams, figure out if it's right or not. If it's wrong just a little bit, you can pivot, or if it's completely wrong, you can move on to something entirely different, and then make money and create a good job, or create a life you want to live. And sometimes it's not your first idea, it's not your second idea. It might be your third or fourth idea. We have guys that have come to us the fourth time, and finally we're raising them hundreds of thousands of dollars, where their first, second, and third ideas were complete failures, and we didn't raise them any money. even knowing everything that we know and having access to everything that we have access to.
Right, and I mean, so it's like they had to go through those failures and get those ideas kind of out of their system to get to the good stuff that people actually wanted.
Exactly. Yep. We call it product validation, and Kickstarter provides the best possible way to validate an idea than I've ever seen. I mean,
Right.
you have everything there.
Yeah. It sounds like it kind of puts the funding people need for their businesses within reach, whereas before they'd have to, get like in the 90s they'd have to go to some like venture capital meetings,
Oh,
or
you're so right.
they'd have to
Yeah.
like go on Shark Tank, or there's always all the stories about people who they spend 30 years just making $0 trying to get on the shelf at Walmart, and then after 30 years they finally get it, and then now they have to come up with 10 million units and they just totally go bankrupt.
Yep.
So it's like your reward
Oh
for
yeah.
30 years of waiting was bankruptcy.
Oh yeah. Your pitch you just said there is exactly the pitch why I believe crowdfunding is the new economy. We're literally branding it the new economy. No longer have to have a rich dad, rich family, rich uncle, venture capitalists, angels. You can literally bring an idea to the crowd, get your friends and family involved, and then let the crowd decide if you've got a winner or not.
Nice.
It's powerful.
I mean, that's some internet democracy right there. So we
For sure.
mentioned a couple of platforms, like there's Kickstarter and there's Indiegogo. Are those the top dogs, or are there any others?
There's others, but I am the biggest in the world, and I don't know who they are. So,
So why
like,
bother, right?
yeah, exactly. 80/20 is what I preach quite a bit. And you want to be on Kickstarter if you're raising money. And then after, you want to go to Indiegogo in demand.
So
That's the process.
why is that? Why Kickstarter first and then Indiegogo?
I love Kickstarter. I love Indiegogo. I love Indiegogo 100 times more than I love Kickstarter. They're just such a good company, so many nice people. But for some reason, their platform just doesn't convert as good as Kickstarter. And Kickstarter is a lot bigger. So Kickstarter has a lot more traffic. And so if you have a good idea going on Kickstarter, you're going to raise more money. But Indiegogo is going to treat you way nicer. So if you want to be treated nice, have amazing customer support, all kinds of help, all the bells and whistles, everything for you, and maybe you don't have the best product ever, but it's good, Indiegogo is going to be your best bet.
Am I understand? Like, I'm trying to figure out if I'm understanding you right. So when you say Kickstarter then Indiegogo, do you mean like launch your product on Kickstarter and then once that's done, launch it on Indiegogo, or are you saying look at
Yeah,
Kickstarter?
that's correct.
Okay, so you can take the same offer and put it on, do the Kickstarter launch first and then the Indiegogo launch.
Yeah, so what you do is you launch a Kickstarter project, and then once your Kickstarter project's over, you go to what's called Indiegogo in demand. And Indiegogo in demand is simply a way for you to continue to take pre-orders while you're in that final prototyping, manufacturing, fulfilling stage for your Kickstarter. So you set your shipping date back a couple months, you charge a few bucks more for your price because obviously the people didn't take action on Kickstarter, so they have to pay a little bit more, and then you continue to raise money for your product. And you get it closer and closer to what you're going to charge for retail pricing instead of the Kickstarter early bird pricing. So it gives you even more time to validate, more time to raise money, and more time to kind of cover your overhead as you go about building your new business.
Nice.
It's pretty powerful. And Indiegogo is way better at Kickstarter than that.
I mean, that all sounds like a kind of cool strategy. So
It's amazing.
So if someone's either on Kickstarter or Indiegogo and they they calculate all their costs and they list their product and they have their their initial sales and they get a bunch of backers, and let's say that the project gets funded, is there a way to back out, like you said, in that one situation where the cooler raised $13 million, he was totally overwhelmed? If Ryan had decided that he just didn't want to deal with it, is there a way to just hit a cancel button and refund everybody, or is that not a thing?
Yeah, you absolutely can. Now, Kickstarter is going to charge their fee, and Kickstarter and Indiegogo both charge 5%, and so you're not going to get that back. Kickstarter doesn't; they're not a store, so when you back a project on a crowdfunding site, you're not. Even though I call it a pre-order because that's the easy way to understand, you're not pre-ordering. You're pre-ordering the idea should it come into existence. And like I said, most of the time they come into existence, and they're usually pretty good. But sometimes they don't happen, or they don't materialize, or other unforeseen costs happen. Just like when you invest in a normal product, it doesn't work out. So Kickstarter calls themselves, they're not a store. They're a place for people to try to bring new invention and new innovation to life. So I've seen a lot of creators refund, but you usually won't get back all of your money because Kickstarter takes their fees. Obviously, the creator probably spent a lot of money trying to build out the product or do whatever they could to try to make it happen. And so if they were to not ultimately fulfill, you'd be out whatever money that is. Now, that's one thing we created to mitigate that, because it's sometimes a risk to back a project, especially if the project seems really crazy or really techy or intense. Or it's like, wow, how are they going to really pull this off? Like Oculus Rift, it just sold for several $billion to Facebook. It was one of the first crowdfunding projects ever. They took 3 or 4 years to deliver, and I think they're finally delivering. They ultimately delivered, but look how long you had to wait. So what we've done to mitigate some of that risk is we've created something that we call the Cashback Network. And the Cashback Network is a place where you can go and back projects and get 10% cash back on everything that you back.
So how does that work? How are you able to pull that off?
Because we work with tons of projects on Kickstarter and Indiegogo, any project that's in our network, we simply give a kickback of what we're charging to all of our backers.
Nice.
To mitigate their risk for backing. It's a win-win-win for everybody. The backers love it because their risk is mitigated and they get a deal. I mean, like I said, it's not too risky. Most people deliver. Literally every client funded today's ever worked with has delivered a product. We have a lot that haven't delivered yet, but all signs point that they're going to deliver. So we have a pretty good track record. And since we work with lots of the big projects, I think it's safe to say probably 80-90% of projects you back are going to deliver. They might be slower because obviously these are new businesses, and when they get injected with tons of capital, sometimes it's a bit confusing or crazy, but there's a lot of good stories too. Literally my entire wardrobe is from projects that we've raised money for. It's pretty cool.
Awesome. And so with all that stuff, I mean, is there any kind of like a legal risk, like either, I mean, maybe like, okay, if there's a Kickstarter or something and someone buys it, and let's say that it's late or it's inferior or it catches on fire or something, is there any kind of like protection on Kickstarter's end for that?
Yeah, there's a lot of legal risk. If a project doesn't deliver, I've seen quite a few backers combine together and form class actions. I saw a case that I was reading yesterday about I can't remember what project it was, but a bunch of backers got together in, I believe, the state of Washington, and they end up winning, and I believe they got treble damages. So if you try to screw the backers and you don't even make any attempt at actually delivering, you're going to pay the price. And there's some pretty good laws in place to help that out. Unfortunately, Kickstarter does a good job with their integrity team. We have our own internal integrity team to make sure the projects we're working with are going to legitimately deliver. We like to require a prototype, so we'll look at and review a prototype of any product that comes our way to make sure it does what they say it's going to do, so that we know they're going to be able to do it. Now, will they be able to do it en masse? That's always the question, but generally if they get a prototype down, there's a good chance they know how to build it out massively as well. So, but yeah, there's a risk. If you don't deliver, if you're trying to screw people, people will take action. And fortunately, the Kickstarter ecosystem is pretty good at finding those before, and Kickstarter does a great job at suspending them. We've worked with probably 5 to 10 projects that have been suspended because they were doing different things, that they were either reselling products, not inventing something new, or probably blatantly trying to rip off money. But Kickstarter has pretty good ways of catching that, even after they start raising lots of money. So you got to definitely have a legitimate idea and have plans for how you're actually going to go about fulfilling it, or you could be in trouble, even if it's 5 years down the road.
I mean, yeah, fair enough. So it is a little scary, but I guess it's no more risky than anything else on the internet as far as physical products and stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, the risk is, and again, Kickstarter has something called the prototype category. So any product you back in like the design category, you can look at all the prototypes and see what you think. Can this really happen? You can. I mean, you're kind of an investor in a way. I don't think Kickstarter calls their backers investors, but in a way, you're kind of an investor. But your investment is being able to get the product before anybody else and say that you help bring something into existence and kind of have the joy of helping an entrepreneur realize the American dream or something, right?
Yeah, and I mean, thanks for clearing that up too a few minutes ago, because I didn't even realize that that Kickstarter and Indiegogo are investing sites, not that they're not stores. So this whole time I was thinking that, okay, well, people go and they just click and buy little doodads here and there, but it's making a lot more sense to me now. Like they find a project, they read all the stuff, and if they believe in not only getting the item but also in the person who's making it, then they can provide that support in that way.
Exactly. Yeah, that's right.
And so I've seen I've seen a lot of the I don't know what you'd call it, like the prototypes, physical products, e-commerce, whatever kind of stuff, where they're making an item. And I've also seen some of these weird Indiegogos where people say like, well, help me pay my hospital bills, or pay me, $5,000 for me to go to a cabin and write a book. Have you seen those? I mean, and what's your thoughts on those?
Yeah, those are more on a site called GoFundMe. Maybe there's some of those on Indiegogo. I'm not quite sure. We don't work with projects like that. I love charity, don't get me wrong, but I believe you got to have a product that stands strong and then leverage those profits from the product to go ahead and do charitable good. So like look at Facebook. Facebook makes most of their money from Facebook, but look at all the cool stuff they're doing. Same with Google. Google makes 85% of all their revenue from Google search. But look at all the amazing stuff Google's trying to do on a charity end. So don't create a charity and ask people to throw money at it. Create an amazing product and then use that amazing product, the money from that amazing product, to go ahead and do charitable good. People don't want to give money to those kind of things, and there's so many. I mean, and use a site like GoFundMe and get your friends and family involved for something like that. I don't think the crowd's going to go crazy. But then again, there's always the one that raises $1 million that everybody talks about. Look at this guy. He wanted to start a lawn mowing business, and everybody loved his story so much, and he made $1 million. I mean, there is those stories, but I think those are like 1 in a million, and that's just the nature of virality.
I mean, and that makes sense. Like, yeah, I'm sure that someone out there has made it work, but for the average person, not very likely, not very practical, as opposed to creating something that provides value. And I mean, even you mentioned, yeah, like Facebook, making the drones that provide internet to Africa and stuff like that.
Yep.
I mean, the amount of money that Facebook and Google pour into the charity stuff. I mean, they would never have, they would never raise that amount of money just asking. Like, the only reason they can provide that amount of money is because they built their own company and then they choose to allocate those funds. That's cool. So, as we're winding this down, I mean, let's talk about Funded Today, because that's come up a couple of times, and it sounds like you guys provide kind of an all-in-one solution, and all the stuff in there that makes Kickstarter campaigns a lot, safer and more reliable and likely to succeed. So can you tell us about Funded Today and what it is?
Yeah. So Funded Today is an all-in-one crowdfunding marketing agency. We can do everything. If you have an idea in your head and that's all, come talk to us. If you've got everything ready and a video made and a page designed and you're ready to push go, but you don't know how to make money or you don't know how to launch, contact us. We'll chat with you. If you're all the way into your project and you haven't raised any money yet and you think you maybe have a good product, we have something called the Crowdfunding Success Matrix, and you can link to this in your podcast if you want, but it's basically just a little matrix, just like you see in like business school, and there's 4 quadrants: outer darkness, black hole, shooting stars, and supernovas. And you might be a shooting star where you launched well, all your friends and family liked it, they backed it, other people backed it, but then your marketing died off. So it's just like a shooting star. It's fleeting, it goes away. We can turn a shooting star into a supernova, and a supernova is a good product with good marketing. A shooting star is a good product with bad marketing. A black hole is a bad product with good marketing. You're just throwing money in, it's getting sucked away. And outer darkness is where you definitely don't want to be. That's a bad product and bad marketing. And so if you have a shooting star, my most recent example that I love sharing is a guy named Timo Heino from Finland with a product called Spine Gym. He came to us when he had 41 backers, so probably his friends and family, and $8,047 raised. If you look up his project on Indiegogo in demand now, I believe we're at $1,300,000. We raised him $463,000 on his Kickstarter. So 463 minus 8,000, over $450,000 raised for this product that was pretty much dead in the water. I mean, it had a little bit of a shooting star and then it died. So at any stage of the crowdfunding process, we can help you raise money. It just depends on where you're at. Worst case, we'll validate your product and we'll tell you, look, we've raised millions and millions of dollars, and we did the exact same thing we've done for all these products that we've raised millions of dollars for. But for your product, it didn't work. So chances are you've got a bad product, and you probably need to pivot or tweak or disband, and here's some things we recommend. Or, you've got a terrible idea. Nobody wants it, and as hard as this is for you to accept, it's time for you to move on to something new or go get another job because this one's not going to do it for you. Or, best case, we turn it into a supernova, and we do what we've done for the $80 million plus we've raised for hundreds of good Kickstarter projects. And everybody's happy. Those are my favorite. We have a lot of them right now. We have the second most project on Kickstarter running live right now. It's called Flag. Really cool idea for photo sharing. And we have probably 5 to 10 more in the top 20 on Kickstarter and tons on Indiegogo in demand. We're Indiegogo's #1 partner. We're Kickstarter's #1 source of traffic aside from YouTube and Google. We even pass up Reddit most of the time. So we're doing big things, and we're working with big companies. We've worked with lots of big names. We work with the guy that invented Furby. We've worked with Samsung. We've worked with the coolest cooler guy on quite a few things. Baalbek's travel jacket, the 5th most funded project of all time. That's funded today. Haral Sangavi's a good friend of mine. I mean, I could name drop all day with all the random stuff we've done, but we're doing big things, and it's exciting, it's fun, and it's great to see these new ideas get brought into existence. We love to be a part of it.
Nice. I mean, who knows? Maybe someday you'll be bigger than Kickstarter and you can start your own, right?
I know we've thought about it.
And I'm looking at the site, and I mean, yeah, you guys have like $80 million total in funds raised and all kinds of cool stuff. So what's the website? What's the address to get to you and your company?
Yeah, it's funded.today. Funded.today. We also own fundedtoday.com, but I think that just redirects to funded.today. And the reason we do that is because we get your project funded today. So pretty easy to remember, but it's not a .com domain name. A lot of people mix that up. We went with something kind of weird
But
with
I
all those
mean,
new domain extensions.
weird stands out, right? Just ask the
Yeah,
Kickstarter
exactly.
people. So cool. So
Exactly.
funded.today. And before I let you go, do you have off the top of your head like a super weird and crazy successful project that you've backed with Funded Today?
Whew, that is a great question. Let me let me scan our site real quick. I'm going to do what you do.
Cool.
So you just go to Funded Today. If you go to the Get More Pledges page, you can scroll down and see a ton of the testimonials. We try to get a video testimonial from every client too, so we have lots and lots of video testimonials. People are slow to give them, but they all eventually come in. I think we've got 30 or so on the site. Let me find one that I really enjoyed. What was probably, I like the Better Back. The Better Back comes to mind. I use it almost every day. It's sitting on my desk right now. It's a product invented by Catherine Krug. It raised $1,193,776. It's an apparatus you wear for 15 to 20 minutes a day that helps you maintain perfect posture. In fact, I'm not wearing it right now as I'm doing this interview, and I'm like leaned back, deep in my chair, horrible posture. Catherine would be ashamed of me. I should probably be wearing my Better Back. It's a cool
Nice.
product that I don't think anybody's ever heard of or seen, and I really love it. And it's very well made too. It was
Awesome.
better than you even expected when you backed it.
I mean, yeah, I'm scrolling through. I'm seeing like there's like the Better Back, and people are selling like wallets and clothing items and shoes and sunglasses. I mean, all kinds of stuff, and it's crazy the amount of money that people are raising with some of these sites, especially when they use Kickstarter plus Indiegogo plus Funded Today and all these other tools that are out there. So I mean, yeah, looking at all the great ideas people have and all the money flying around, I think that anyone would be kind of silly not to use crowdfunding to fund their physical projects and things like that. So once again, that webpage is funded.today. And thanks a bunch, Zach, for stopping by and telling us all about the exciting world of crowdfunding.
Thanks, Robert. Appreciate it. Glad to have you. Glad to be on.
Subscribe to the show at robertplank.com/iTunes. That's ROBERTPLANK.com/iTunes.